Officer Jake Michaels was a seasoned cop, hardened by years on the force. He patrolled the desolate roads that wound through the mountains, his headlights cutting through the darkness like a knife. One fateful night, as he rounded a bend, his radio crackled to life with a frantic call for backup from a fellow officer. Without hesitation, Jake raced to the scene, only to find the patrol car abandoned, its doors hanging open like gaping mouths. There was no sign of the officer, no trace of what had transpired. Despite exhaustive searches, the missing officer was never found, leaving behind only unanswered questions and a sense of dread that lingered in the air like a foul odor. Sergeant Emily Hayes had heard the rumors swirling around the old police station, whispers of spectral apparitions and eerie phenomena that defied explanation. She dismissed them as the idle chatter of bored cops until one night when she was assigned the graveyard shift. Alone in the dimly lit station, Emily felt a chill creep up her spine as strange noises echoed through the empty halls. Doors slammed shut of their own accord, lights flickered and dimmed, and a feeling of dread hung heavy in the air. She tried to convince herself it was just her imagination, but when she saw the shadowy figure lurking in the corner of the room, she knew she was not alone. Officer Sarah Thompson was new to the force, eager to prove herself in a town where legends loomed large. One particularly dark and stormy night, she received a call about a disturbance in the nearby woods, known locally as the Devil's Hollow. Undeterred by the ominous name, Sarah ventured into the forest, her flashlight cutting through the thick veil of mist that shrouded the trees. As she delved deeper into the darkness, she felt a sense of unease creeping over her, a primal fear that whispered of ancient evils lurking in the shadows. Suddenly, she stumbled upon a clearing where a group of cloaked figures stood in a circle, chanting in a language she could not comprehend. Before she could react, they vanished into thin air, leaving behind only a feeling of profound dread that clung to her like a second skin. Detective Mark Johnson was a tenacious investigator, relentless in his pursuit of justice. When a series of children began disappearing from the town without a trace, he threw himself into the case with single-minded determination. Despite his best efforts, the trail went cold, and the missing children became little more than fading memories in the minds of their loved ones. But Mark refused to give up, haunted by the thought of innocent lives lost to the darkness that lurked in the shadows. Then, one night, as he pored over old case files in his office, he'd heard a soft voice whispering his name. Startled, he looked up to see the ghostly figure of a young girl standing before him, her eyes filled with sorrow and longing. And in that moment, he knew that the key to solving the case lay not in the realm of the living, but in the world beyond. As the sun set on the town, casting long shadows that stretched like fingers across the landscape, the officers of the police department gathered for one final stand against the darkness that threatened to consume them. Armed with courage and determination, they ventured into the heart of the Devil's Hollow, where they faced horrors beyond their wildest nightmares. But together, they stood strong, refusing to be cowed by the malevolent forces that sought to destroy them. In the end, it was not brute strength or firepower that saved them, but the power of their own indomitable spirits, forged in the crucible of fear and tempered by the bonds of friendship and camaraderie. And as they emerged from the darkness, battered but unbowed, they knew that they had faced true horror, and emerged victorious, their souls forever scared by the shadows of the night. Officer Dylan Carter had always been a skeptic, scoffing at tales of the supernatural that circulated among his colleagues. But one evening, while on patrol along the deserted backroads of the town, he encountered something that defied all rational explanation. It started with a flicker of movement at the edge of his headlights, a shadowy figure darting between the trees like a wisp of smoke. Dylan's heart raced as he gave chase, his footsteps echoing loudly in the stillness of the night. As he rounded a bend into the road, he stumbled upon a clearing where a strange, otherworldly glow illuminated the darkness. And there, standing before him, was a creature unlike anything he had ever seen, tall and gaunt, with eyes that burned like embers in the night. Paralyzed with fear, Dylan watched as the creature beckoned to him with a bony finger. its voice a whispered melody that sent shivers down his spine. And though every instinct screamed for him to flee, he found himself drawn inexorably toward the creature, powerless to resist its unearthly allure. Sergeant Rebecca Morgan had always prided herself on her bravery and resilience in the face of danger. But when she stumbled upon an old, forgotten badge hidden away in the depths of the station, she unwittingly unleashed a curse that would haunt her for the rest of her days. From that moment on, strange and inexplicable things began to happen. Objects moved of their own accord, eerie whispers echoed through the halls, and shadows seemed to take on a life of their own. And try as she might to rid herself of the cursed badge, it clung to her like a malevolent spirit, its dark influence growing stronger with each passing day. Desperate for answers, Rebecca delved into the town's dark history, uncovering long-buried secrets and ancient rituals that spoke of a darkness that had plagued the town for generations. And as she pieced together the puzzle of the curse, she realized that the only way to break its hold was to confront the darkness head-on, even if it meant risking her own life in the process. Detective Marcus Nguyen had always been a man of reason, relying on logic and evidence to guide him in his investigations. But when he stumbled upon a series of bizarre rituals being conducted under the cover of night, he found himself confronting a darkness that defied all rational explanation. Gathering a team of fellow officers, Marcus ventured into the heart of the Devil's Hollow, where he witnessed horrors beyond comprehension. Hooded figures chanting ancient incantations, sacrificial altars stained with blood, and shadows that moved with a life of their own. As the ritual reached its climax, Marcus knew that they were facing something far more sinister than mere mortals could comprehend. And though every fiber of his being screamed for him to flee, he stood his ground, determined to uncover the truth behind the darkness that threatened to consume them all. As dawn broke over the town, casting long shadows that stretched like fingers across the landscape, the officers of the police department emerged from the darkness, their spirits battered but unbowed. Though the horrors they had faced would haunt them for the rest of their days, they knew that they had triumphed over evil, their courage and resilience shining like beacons in the night. And as they stood together, united in their determination to protect the town from the darkness that lurked in its shadows, they knew that their legacy would endure long after they were gone, a testament to the power of the human spirit to overcome even the darkest of nightmares.